here's your host, Alex Garrett.
Well, it is Saturday, July 17th. Can you believe we're nearly through July? That is pretty wild considering. And thanks for joining me on this podcast once again. And I really do want to get the hex off this podcast. I do. And why would you say, oh, well, there's a hex on it? Well, I'll tell you. On the Keeping It Real side, because the Adapting with Alex Garrett side is fairly new still. But on the Keeping It Real side, I've got a total of 666 episodes. So this title is going to be episode 667. Satan Be Gone from this podcast, right? I mean, it's just kind of funny that 7 years ago I started this, and the fact that I have even over 600 podcasts of this specific Keeping It Real recorded is cool, but now 666, the hex can be taken off now, and we can move on to 667. But this kind of is interesting because I felt compelled to talk about The Exorcist, right? So 666, the devil, hex, The Exorcist, where they're throwing up all over the place. And the funny thing about radio and the funny thing about any media appearance I've done is when I was younger specifically, like on the Variety of the Children's Charity, I might be a bit coughed up and I might actually throw up on live television. That was a fear we had when I was growing up. That's why before media appearances, whether it be the telethon, radiothon, the Variety, or any other different thing, we made sure I didn't eat because we knew that if the food got stuck on the air, how bad would that be? Of course, now my body's different and I can do it. But it just was funny that thinking about 666 and thinking about The Exorcist specifically, when it came to that, I was like, man, that's kind of relatable because, hey, I almost was possessed, or I could have been possessed with, choking on food on the radio or television. So we prevented that. And now I just feel possessed to keep this podcast going, keep this podcast humming along. 667 Keeping It Real with Alex Garrett's since 2014, 7 years in. And again, it's inspirational because I didn't know where this would lead to. I didn't know that it would lead to a website, alexgnyc.com. I didn't know it would lead to Adapting with Alex. I didn't know. But I did know I wanted to play every side for you. I know I wanted, since the beginning, to keep it real with you that yes, there are multiple sides to a story. And so because of your reception time and time again, thank you for helping me stay inspired to keep going with this. And we're now on to 667 episodes, which is why I felt compelled to share this soundbite from Joe Biden.
Communism is a failed system, universally failed system. And I don't see socialism as a very useful substitute, but that's another story.
And when I first heard that, I said, I have to share this because the whole point of this existence for the podcast, for the Instagram, is to give you a different side. And for all the jokes and everything you could say about Biden and the whispering he did and all the antics that he's done since being president, you've got to highlight some things where he makes sense. It's only fair. It's not letting the other side win in that case. It's just pointing out, yes, that is so accurate and truthful. And, it's good to see him speak out against Cuba, the government of Cuba in a sense. But I also share it because so many people say, "Wow, you're a Trump guy. You must not care for America if you like Trump or whatever." I don't know why people thought that, because I do love America, and I love playing sound bites that seem representative of what American ideals are. And communism and socialism are not American ideals. That is almost evil. The communism is evil in Cuba. Yes, okay, the healthcare thing, or I guess 70% like being under oppressive Cuba, which is bizarre. It's an interesting stat I heard. But at the end of the day, there are people living in fear in that country. That's evil. So episode 667, I say, let's get rid of the evils and support those that want to get rid of the evils that communism brings to people. That socialism brings. Look, we are still, I think, going to get more stimulus. And we should just be encouraging people back to work. The government stepping in and trying to give you things to rely on them is not good faith. It's not behaving. And that's why Biden speaking out against communism was interesting, firstly, because I think the radical left's now going to go after him for saying that. I just have a feeling. But secondly, maybe he can help us veer away from the tendencies of socialism and communism that we are seeing here in America, like the stimulus checks. I know they were useful at one point, but now we just got to get people back to work. That should be the goal. And I'm tired of this idea that you can't highlight, if you're on one side, you can't highlight something that makes sense from the president that represents the other side. For years, no one would play the actual cuts that Trump would say, which were sometimes very informational and very useful. Well, I want to do that with the Biden presidency because I believe that's only fair. I do. I think we've had too much division, which has caused evil in the country, right? So episode 667 is ridding the evil of division in this country. That's what I'm dedicating this to today. There are so many awful things that continue in this country that, are because we are just divided, and the evil spirits that want that division just wedge in. And this is why also being pushed to boycott Major League Baseball or boycott the NFL or NBA, that is an evil wanting you to do the boycotting. There are forces that want to tear down America's foundations, and sports is one of them. Isn't sports the biggest foundation for all of us? Can't we somehow be one when it comes to sports, uniting around it? Well, guess what? When you're telling MLB, we're going to boycott you, you know what's winning? You know what is winning? The forces behind the division are winning. The evil behind the division is winning. So do not boycott these sports. These players are going to do what they're going to do. Okay. But still love the game. Don't let the ulterior motives of tearing us down win. That is how we get rid of evil. By not letting them win. By not letting them, and not letting this satanic spirit, if you will, take over the country. And why not, on episode 667, talk about ridding this virus once and for all, America? I have said it's your choice to be vaccinated. I still believe that. But if you know the information and you still don't get it, that is a fault. If you know the information, if you know that most of this is effective against it, and still scared of it, still skeptical, still conspiratorial, if you will, get over that. If you know the information, if you looked into it, and you know that maybe it could work and you still don't want to do it, that is on you. I believe the messaging of the vaccine has been terrible. I think the fact that J&J vaccine, again, having to be shelved is sending a bad message. But to rid this evil of coronavirus once and for all, so we don't have the climbing rates You've got to be informed. You have to allow that information to come to you. And okay, if you don't want to get after getting the information, whatever, but if you see that it's working and you choose not to, then that is on you. I also don't want it to be a harder time for the unvaccinated. I think that is pretty damaging too. Again, there's division there. And again, instead of telling people to be informed, we have people running around saying, let's make it harder for the unvaccinated for COVID. Did we ever make it harder on people not vaccinated for the flu? Do we make it harder on people not vaccinated for, whatever? No. People live their lives. I get COVID's very different. And I will say, the whole idea of colleges needing the vaccine to go back might seem daunting, but I want to remind you people that we all had to get vaccinated to go to elementary school. Remember, we needed our vaccines. We needed our shots before the start of the September year. This is nothing new. I mean, colleges never really required it, right? But for schools to require it's nothing new. We've needed to be vaccinated from the very beginning. So can we stop politicizing that? They're just forcing us to do it. No. Do you know that vaccines have been required in schools? Do you remember that for years? I do believe the vaccine is a way to rid us of the virus. I think locking us down is not the answer, because that will kill our immunity if we lock down. But the vaccine is an answer to ridding this virus. On episode 667, we must commit to ridding the virus. We must stop politicizing every little move people make. We must highlight all the good things that Operation Warp Speed brings, that the fact that Biden has kept it going. We cannot let them win, they being, again, the evil forces that want to lock us down and who knows what else. I believe there's something behind the scenes that leads people to want to lock down. I don't know who's in the ears, but there's something secretive about that. So how do you let the behind the scenes and the back chatter of the lockdown stop? You get the vaccine. Some may look at it as compliance. Some may look at it as forced. I always have thought, unfortunately, it's a non-mandate mandate, the way they were talking. But at this point, if we're seeing the studies that it is mostly unvaccinated that are getting the virus, then the answer is there. The answer is right there in front of you. But don't put restrictions on the vaccinated. That's stupid. That doesn't help either. Because in the vaccinated will think, what are we doing? Why'd we get it if we have to wear masks? Like, that never makes sense to me. If you have a vaccine, it should be working, right? So, there are so many evils in the world to rid every day. And I can't cover all of them. But I sure as heck hope that we can rid the evil of division. That is my main thing here. I believe if we know the facts, if we hear the correct cuts, if we hear the correct mentality that can inspire, that can make us better, that can help us do better, then that is how we rid evil. And there is no doubt that evil lurks, waiting for the right time to tragically strike. And we must combat that. And by being informed, by being comfortable, by being safe, and by being ready to combat the evil, we will win. We will get past 666, and we can make our own 667, which is a step beyond Satan. And I think we need to take multiple steps to get beyond him. But let's start at 667. Let's start at the number after 666. And heck, see what I did there? Make it a fresh start for yourself. Is there a 666 feeling cloud hanging over your head? Then go to 667. Is there a 666 hurt in your soul for something? Then go to step 667. It may be a number up, but let me tell you, it's a great step up. I love this term, step beyond Satan. And maybe the satanics are going to listen and be like, oh, you're all wrong about it. I mean, people are trying to convince me why Cuba is a great government. That's sickening to me. That's playing right into the evil that is communism and socialism. So when you feed into that, I don't know what I feel. I don't know how I feel. Especially if we're all here in America taking up the beauty of capitalism, making money, working hard. Doesn't that mean you want to help lift others up out of communism and into capitalism? How can you crap on capitalism while making money in America? That doesn't make sense to me. Capitalism is working here. You're making money. You're living. Maybe not always a livable wage, unfortunately. Maybe the rents are too damn high. But there is an opportunity here if you just go out and get it. And so while you're taking advantage of the capitalistic advantages here, you should want to uplift others. But I have a feeling why some don't. Why some want to take advantage of the capitalistic perks here, but not help others in communism. Because they don't want those people to get ahead. Maybe there is an internal feeling like if those people stay oppressed, they won't get ahead of me. That's the only reason I could think someone would want to defend the killing of adversaries and those who dissent. Maybe people are intimidated by those who want to break free because they're so driven they might supersede someone else in this country. Maybe people who want communism are so afraid, while living in a capitalistic society, are so afraid that they will be stepped over by someone so driven to be thriving that they'd rather than be oppressed in Cuba. And that is not ridding the evil that we are seeing. That is not ridding the evil. That is playing into it. So can we stop playing into it? Can we start uplifting others? Because if you love the capitalist perks, why shouldn't someone else get that chance here in America? If you love making money in America, why shouldn't we allow Cubans to continue to come here and thrive? Why shouldn't we allow people to come here legally? Why can't there be more legal migration here? Legal. Why can't we truly want people to thrive? And if they get ahead of you, that means you didn't work hard enough. But stop taking the capitalistic perks if you want to if you want to defend communism. That is my hot take today. Stop taking capitalism, capitalist perks, and defending communism. Because you want to try, go and live there. See what it's like to say, Cuba sucks, and then get shot on scene. See what it's like. Here in America, you can burn a flag. You can even chant USA, 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 despite what the pilot says. You can have a whole wide array of free speech. I'm not even talking about Twitter because that's a whole mess. I'm just saying, Although now if you're on the right and you have free speech, then that does seem to be a little limited, which is sad. I mean, people on the left can say they love communism while taking the capitalistic perks and not have any consequence. The right says we need to defend the Cubans and get them out of communism. Oh, well, you should look at what the U.S. did. What the U.S. did was actually put Cuba at bay. Yes, Bay of Pigs. What the U.S. did with that embargo has its pros and cons, but the pros are the minute these embargoes started to be lifted, Cuba was killing and injuring their own people. That is a fact. Go to procon.org and see for yourself. But there's a pro and con on the Cuban embargo, which I think you have to read. Because apparently, when they lifted the embargo, Cuba went on the attack again on its own people. But yes, to rid the evil of what the oppressing, of the oppressed are going through, then put your money where your mouth is. Or actually, in this case, put your mouth where your money is. If you so love taking the capitalistic perks from this country, but want to defend communism, you are mixed up. You don't want people to thrive then. You don't want people to live freely. Maybe it's because you're intimidated. Someone else could very well take that position from you right away if they start. Maybe it's because you're worried they're going to be so driven they'll take away your livelihood because they'll do better at it. So if you're living in capitalist USA, let's start lending that open hand and saying, all right, Cuba, we hear you. And someone asked me, do I think the U.S. should intervene in this? No. To be very honest, when I saw that there might be troops going to Venezuela from us, I'm like, what the hell? That wouldn't be good. We know how us trying to take out a dictator and put one in works. It really doesn't. That wouldn't have been good. And on that front, we can only help these countries so much. That's why I applaud the people of Cuba for finally speaking out and not being afraid. Misbehaving, actually, as I said in the other episode. But please, episode 667, I'm telling you this. Satan be gone from Cuba. May there be freedoms there. Satan be gone from the ills that are those who overdose. Satan be gone from all the afflictions that we see on our television, that we see in the news, that we see. Satan be gone. 667. Let's stop romanticizing 666 and focus on 667. Let's get a step beyond Satan, can we? And if you're taking capitalistic perks, then don't defend communism. It only makes sense. And if you know about the vaccine, take the vaccine if you know that it's safe. If you know it's safe and you refuse to, that is on you. But overall, may God bless us all, man. We need him. We need him very much so. And we love God, right? I mean, we do. Because he is the ultimate step beyond Satan. And so, God bless you in your endeavors, in whatever you choose to do. But let's be smart. Let's be careful. Let's be calming. Let's be everything that we have to ease the divide and unite us again. And that does go to step 667, a step beyond Satan. God bless you, everybody.